Hello game makers, this is GameMaker Rob, and in this episode we introduce the boss. We have a boss battle as well as making him disappear, and we fix a few bugs as well. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stop the NPCs repeating themselves. So if we go and talk to a villager and get to the end, they just repeat themselves, and that was intentional to begin with. At the moment, no, I don't like it. I think I prefer them to just stop talking and end the conversation themselves. So it's quite an easy fix. All we're going to do is we're going to go into OBJ player, and then inside the talking region, and we're inside next message and this bit here. So when we're pressing OK, we're checking to see if we are at the end of the NPC's text, and normally if we were, we just go back to the start and we're going to replace it with this. So if we are at the end, then player talking is false. We're just going to check to make sure the NPC hasn't been destroyed for whatever reason, and if it's still alive, then set the talking in the NPC to false, and also give them back their last sprite, and that's it. That's all that we need to do. So if we now run the game, I'm going to speak to the same guy. That's it. And let's speak to Bob as well. Where is he? Where's Bob? There we go. Cool. Okay, and there is another bug. So basically, if we move rooms and then we open the play menu and then we start to move or start to press up and down on the menu, it's going to allow the player to walk. This is because of the way the warping code works. I'll show you that code now. So inside warping, so what happens is we're going to, when we warp into a new room, it's going to check to see if we're colliding with a warp object, which we are, and then this bit here is going to run. It's going to check to see if we're holding up, down, left or right. If we are, then check for it to be released. So if we're holding up, down, left or right, and when we press start, then it's still going to let us move. And also, even if we're not holding down any one of these keys, it's still going to let us move. So the best thing to do is we're going to wrap the whole of this in an if statement. Like this. Basically, if the menu is not open, then check for the warp code. We'd probably benefit from a state system in the player. I don't normally use one for the player, but it could be useful. But for now, I think this, this is perfectly fine to use. We're not at a level where it's making things hard to do. Let's just run the game and test it. Open menu, up, down, left, right. Let's try holding and then press start. Oh, I'm going to die now. Oh. Okay, so now we're going to get onto our boss stuff. Inside OBJ init, in the create event, inside NPCs, we're going to have a new NPC type called boss, a new ID called boss. We're going to add some sprites to the NPC sprite stationery array. Up, down, left and right, and the same for walking. I'm using the same sprites for walking as stationary because I'm not going to have my boss moving. That's the only reason. We've also got a new entry in special characters. We're going to use hashtag to instigate a fight. And in our text, you can see here, it's hashtag plus string eMonsterTypes.DemonKing. So it's going to be a 2 basically. So all this means is the 2 is going to return the type of monster we want to fight. So that's just how we're going to let the battle spawn object know which monster that we want to fight. And last of all, we want to add some entries to text progress. So for the boss, it's simple. We're going to start 0, end at 2. That's it. Inside the player object, we'll get to that in a minute, but we're going to be setting global spawn based on this number. So if we were fighting slimes, we're now going to be fighting demon kings. But after we hopefully win the battle against the demon king, we don't want to keep fighting demon kings. We need to reset the global spawn back to what it was. So for this, we are going to use a new global, the battle region, and we're going to call it last spawn. So last spawn is going to keep track of the spawn we were fighting before bosses, and we're going to reset spawn to that afterwards. So now we are going to go into the player object, step event, and talking, and inside next message, this one, we're going to add this region, start a battle. So it's very similar to the other ones we've done, checking for the special character, and we need to also make sure that the battle spawn object exists, otherwise this is going to give us a crash. So like I said before, we're going to save the previous monster spawn so we can get back to it later, and str is going to give us, it's going to return 2 for the demon king, and that's what we're going to set global spawn as. I think I've explained about real, so we're just turning the string version of 2 into the number version of 2. That's what this is going to be for. And with the spawn object, we're only going to have 1 per room, so it's okay just to use the object name rather than finding the instance ID. Spawn timer is going to equal time till battle. So if you remember, normally we'd have to count up to say maybe 30 or 40 before we start a battle, but we're going to start the battle straight away by doing this. We're going to disallow player input, and we're going to set the state of the battle to init. There's a small bug which we'll fix afterwards, but first of all we want to make sure that we can talk to the demon and then actually start a battle first. So once you've got this down, we will actually create the NPC next. So all we need to do is to go into the world room. I'm going to put the boss here rather than put him in the dungeon because it's going to take less time to test it. If we know it works in this room, then it's going to work in this room. So on the player layer here, I'm going to drag an NPC. Actually move it over here. And in the creation code, we're going to paste this. So we're going to set the type to boss, the ID to boss, facing of south, and we're going to set a sprite as the boss sprite. So once you've got this, all of our code should work, and you'll see the bug that there is. We'll fix it as well. Let me just actually equip some stuff, because he's quite a hard fight. I'm still going to die. Kill the slime. So you've come to kill me, eh? Why doesn't anyone want to be my friend? So you see, as soon as we press OK for the text, we attack the demon lord. This is because as soon as we press OK, the step event and the battle object's reading it. So let's just die to the boss because he's too strong. There we go. I don't know if you caught it, but there's another bug there. I have fixed it, but I just haven't recorded it. Basically, the player can attack sometimes when he's dead. So we'll get to that as well. So we need to add some input. So going to obj init and step event, and inside the OK region, we're just going to add this. Basically checking for released OK. Okay, now there's 5 things that we want to change in Battle Spawner. So 164, this one. So we're in state is ready, battle is in progress, and if pressed OK, we want to make sure that we are taking player input. This is going to stop us from automatically attacking after we finish speaking to the boss. That's the first one. Next one here. So we're adding this. So basically we are inside option state is battle over. If pressed OK, option state is battle over. At the very end, before we set state to no battle, we want to reset global.spawn to global.last_spawn, and also reset last spawn as well. Otherwise, that's going to give us the wrong monsters. And then 4, 5, 6. So we're in player's turn. If player turn and do shake, all we've done is to this line here, we've added a check for global.released OK, and that's going to allow us to accept player input after we release OK. And last of all, there's 2 things in the monster's turn. The first thing I've added is a check to actually see if it is the monster's turn. So if option state is monster's turn, then do this, and also set option state to battle over. If we don't add this bit, then the monster will continually show the attack animation after the player's dead. That might be something you want to keep in. So if you want to see that, just don't have this line in. Just comment it out. Otherwise, you'll need it. And if the player's dead, set option state to battle over. Okay, so let's run the game. Make sure all of this works. Let's cast a spell on slime. And then talk to the demon. We don't attack straight away. Let's cast our best spell. 16 damage. We're nearly dead. Let's try and kill him. We did. Cool. Well, let's try again. Okay. Awesome. The next thing we are going to cover is destroying the boss after the battle. I did some more testing off camera as well, because I realized that after we win against the boss, we're still able to move away from the conversation. So we're going to cover everything now. The first thing we need to do is go into obj init and the create event, and we're going to add these 2 lines to the boss text. So after we win, we're going to see damn you, and then this is going to run. What this arrow does, it's going to destroy the NPC, and we're going to have a little animation like we do for when the monsters die. It's going to flash and then disappear. We're also going to disable the player from moving, but we can't use disabled, so we're going to use an object called obj cutscene, and while that is in existence, the player is not going to be able to move. So let's get onto that now. So the next thing we need to check is the NPC create event. We're going to add these 3 variables. This is basically for the death animation. So X scale, dead, and dead timer. And then we're going to add a destroy event, because when the NPC is removed, he would have been blocking that tile. So we need to make sure we're clearing that tile, that cell, from the collision grid. And then in the step event, we've got this new region here. So it's very similar to the animation inside the monster. So if the dead variable is true, you can just leave it like that, or you can put this whatever is easier for you to read and understand. So if it's dead, we need to check that either there's no instance of battle spawner, or there is and there's no battle. Then run the dead timer, and when we reach a certain amount of time, then we want to allow the player to move, and the way we're going to do that is destroy the instance of OBJ cutscene. We might as well add that object now, so just create an object and call it OBJ cutscene like this. There's nothing in it, we don't have it doing anything right now, it's just simply an object to say this is a cutscene. So it doesn't do anything in itself, it's just there to allow us to stop the play moving basically. And in the draw event, we're just getting rid of draw self and adding this line. Draw sprite ext, draw its sprite index, the image index, same X and Y. The only thing that's different is going to be the X scale, and that's how we're going to allow it to flash. We could do it with the alpha. It would have the same effect, changing the alpha to 0, but I just kept it the same as the monster step event. So now we need to go into OBJ player, step event, and at the very top movement, we're going to add this bit. So if disabled equals false and there's no existence of OBJ cutscene. And then inside the talking region, where we move away from NPC and stop talking, just check this. We've added this line here, or this check here, but I also moved global.pressed cancel inside this set of brackets, because you want to be checking for this, or this, as well as no instance of cutscene. And I've added 2 things into the battle special character. So we want to go to the next line where it says damn you, which is what this is going to do. And we're going to create the cutscene object inside the battle bit as well. And this is what's going to stop the player from being able to move away. And this is the final part. So let me just add in, how do I do it? So this is the special character for the right arrow or greater than. So very similar, checking for special character. If we find it, then we are going to set the dead variable inside the NPC to true and stop talking, and that's it. So after all that, if we run the game, I know what we'll do. Kill a slime. So we can still move away before we fight. But once we're in the battle, after we win, which hopefully I will, then if you try and move up, down, left or right, you shouldn't be able to. If you press OK, then he'll flash and disappear, and now we can move, and we should be able to move onto his tile as well. And thankfully, all the XP the boss gave us is now making powerful enough to one-hit slimes. Just going to make sure that we can still do everything else that we could before. We don't want to break anything. Speak to Bob. Awesome. So that is going to be it for today. I'm going to show you one more thing actually. The boss will always be recreated when we enter a new room. We're going to cover that in the next episode, where we're going to do repeatable quests as well as like a storyline quest. So we'll have it where once you kill the boss, that's it, he's never going to spawn again. But thank you for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye for now.